Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are taking on one of the most pressing, complex, and I think exciting missions of our time,
Excellent.
understanding what it means to learn, to think, and, ultimately succeed in a world that is just increasingly dominated by artificial intelligence.
Right.
We've compiled a whole stack of essential sources, research, and expert insights to really extract the fundamental knowledge you need to thrive, not just survive in this accelerating future.
And the time frame for this is, well, it's immediate. The context is so crucial.
Hmm.
When we look at the next generation, they're calling them Gen Beta, born between 2025 and 2040.
Hmm.
They're going to inhabit a world with truly unmatched AI adoption.
And this isn't just like a new app on your phone.
No, not at all. This is a foundational shift, and it's happening alongside these massive global challenges, from climate crises to huge demographic shifts.
And we can already see it. I mean, Gen Alpha and Gen Z are treating these AI tools exactly like the genie from Aladdin's magic lamp.
It's instant gratification.
Totally. They're generating code, solving homework, writing emails, creating art, all in an instant. The tools are here, they're being used, and they're changing everything.
Which brings us to, I think, the core idea of our dive today. It comes from a really powerful source, Demis Hassabis. He's the CEO of Google's DeepMind.
Right.
And he suggests that the single most valuable human skill for the future will be learning how to learn.
So not just what to learn, but the meta skill of learning itself.
Precisely. It has to become this rapid, efficient, deeply personal, lifelong practice. Because if we don't keep pace,
If we stall out.
exactly, if human learning stalls while machine intelligence just grows exponentially, the job displacement that's predicted will, well, it's going to severely increase global financial inequality,
And that leads to social unrest.
inevitably. The only real buffer is our own adaptability.
Okay, so let's unpack the situation right now in 2025. We've got this incredible new utility, AI solving problems, but we're also facing this massive, maybe hidden cognitive risk.
Yeah, that tension. That's what we're calling the AI paradox.
So let's start with the utility side. The sources show the top uses for AI are incredibly varied and deeply personal.
They really are.
It's being used for everything from therapy and companionship to, organizing your entire life. It's generating code and critically enhancing personalized learning.
And the sheer speed of this global adoption is just staggering.
It is.
A perfect example of that is what the UAE did.
Oh, right. Tell us about that.
They became the first nation to provide free, universal access to ChatGPT Plus to all citizens,
To
everyone. And their goal is explicit. Completely overhaul their traditional, 400-year-old education model. They see AI as the only way to rapidly reinvent learning.
That's a tectonic plate shifting in real time. Okay, if the machine can do all that heavy cognitive lifting, where's the serious risk?
The risk is it's captured by a term called cognitive offloading.
Cognitive offloading.
Yeah. When AI tools reduce the amount of mental processing we have to do, our cognitive load,
Yeah.
we instinctively just offload the work.
It's just easier.
Of course. But the danger comes with excessive, persistent use of these tools. That's what leads to cognitive debt.
Cognitive debt. That sounds like a mental mortgage you take out now, but you pay for it dearly later.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you constantly offload complex problem solving to ChatGPT, whether it's structuring an essay or solving a math problem,
You stop learning how to do it.
stop learning how to build the argument or how to apply the principles. The long-term consequence isn't just, weaker critical thinking. It's a profound atrophy of your executive function skills.
So when you face a really ambiguous, high-stakes situation where AI can't help,
Your capacity for independent judgment just isn't there.
and this connects to a broader, pretty worrying societal trend in intelligence data. For almost a century, we saw the Flynn effect.
The consistent rise in IQ scores.
Right. A measurable rise in IQs generation after generation. But now research is showing a reverse Flynn effect. That upward trend started to reverse around 2006.
And what's so fascinating here is the potential connection. If our core thinking skills are already starting to erode, maybe because of screens, who knows? And then we introduce a tool that lets us offload 90% of our mental effort.
We're just compounding the problem. But wait, if the average person doesn't need to memorize historical dates or solve complex equations because an AI does it perfectly, is that cognitive decline really a problem?
And that's the critical friction point.
Right.
The decline is a problem because the AI that's doing the thinking for us often hallucinates. It just makes things up. It gives you factually inaccurate or biased information.
So if our own critical thinking line is lower and we can't tell fact from fiction,
We're essentially outsourcing truth itself,
hmm,
which, raises the fundamental question, what does it even mean to be truly educated anymore?
it certainly has to be more than memorization. There's that great quote often attributed to Einstein: education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school.
I love that.
It's about that enduring capacity to think, reason, and adapt.
It's the pivot point. It's moving from just consuming content to actually developing capabilities.
And our sources detail four core mandates for this. The first is holistic learning. So developing the whole person, intellectually, emotionally, socially, not just about the final grade.
The second is cultivating an adaptive mindset. I mean, if change is exponential, continuous learning isn't just a hobby, it's a survival mechanism.
And that mindset is grounded by the third mandate: character and perspective. This is where the humanities, the social sciences become just indispensable.
Yes. If a student only learns STEM, they have the technical skill to build, say, an autonomous weapon, but they don't have the framework to weigh the ethical dilemmas of doing that.
Right. Literature, history, they provide that context, that empathy.
And finally, you have the long-lasting skills. These are the ones that survive job changes. Critical thinking, curiosity, communication, creativity, problem solving.
Emotional intelligence, time management, all the things that make us adaptable.
These are great, but how do we make sure they actually stick? I think the physicist Richard Feynman offers this really brutal test for it, the creation mandate.
Oh, this is the what I cannot create, I do not understand idea.
Exactly. It suggests that real comprehension is tied directly to output. True understanding requires you to build something new with that knowledge.
So if you can't apply it to create, you haven't really mastered it, you're just dependent on it.
That's it.
And this whole shift is forcing a revolution in the classroom, right? The fundamental change is learning through questions instead of just passively listening to lectures.
We're calling it the Socratic flip.
Mm.
Traditionally, the teacher asks the questions. But now, with knowledge being so abundant, the learner has to be the one asking the right questions.
And then critically examining the AI's answers.
Yes, you're not just asking what's the answer. You're asking what's the best prompt to get a useful answer, and how do I verify its quality?
Prompt engineering is really just a fancy term for critical questioning.
It is. And this is why static textbooks are becoming obsolete. They're being replaced by these liquid textbooks that are interactive and personalized.
Right, like asking it to explain this to me like I'm 10.
Exactly. This changes everything for the educator. They're no longer the source of facts. They're a coach, a facilitator,
A mentor.
a mentor guiding curiosity. And we're seeing some really powerful examples of this in practice. In math, for instance, a teacher can have an AI generate 3 different solutions to one problem
And the students have to pick the best one.
and justify why. The test isn't the answer, it's the reasoning behind the choice.
Or in a history class, students use an AI to write an essay, and their assignment is to find the biases, the mistakes, the missing context.
It turns AI from a shortcut into a necessary friction point for real learning.
And if we connect this questioning to the bigger picture, you get something like Anthea Roberts' concept of dragonfly thinking.
Yeah, which is a systems-based approach for solving these really complex, messy, global problems.
So if that's how we process the systems, what are the actual minds we need to manage that process?
Okay, so this brings us to the essential human mindsets that, AI can't fully replicate. Howard Gardner identified the 5 minds for the future: disciplined, synthesizing, creating, respectful, and ethical.
And what's so crucial here is that large language models, LLMs, they're amazing at the first 3. They can master subjects, integrate information, generate new ideas.
But, and this is a huge but, the sources are crystal clear. Humans must not assign LLMs to completely exhibit the respectful or ethical mind.
Those have to remain human domains.
Fundamentally, an LM can mimic an ethical argument, but it can't embody empathy. It doesn't have intrinsic motivation.
And that focus on empathy, on that internal motivation, it really moves us away from just the limitations of, traditional IQ.
Yeah, which is just logic and data, right?
Right, and it moves us towards something much more, I guess, foundational.
We're calling it life intelligence, or LOASME. It's a foundational skill for self-improvement, for leadership, conflict resolution, all of those critical soft skills.
And LI incorporates things like existential intelligence,
The capacity to reflect on meaning, yeah.
emotional intelligence, and maybe most critically, self-awareness. Why is that so important right now?
Because self-awareness is the only mechanism that helps us recognize our own cognitive biases.
Our own blind spots.
Exactly. If you're trying to process a mountain of AI-generated information and you don't know your own blind spots, you can't critically assess anything.
We see all this encapsulated in what's often called the 8 core competencies of Education 2.0.
Right, there's a list: curiosity, creativity, criticism, communication, collaboration, compassion, composure, and citizenship.
That list gets recited really fast sometimes, but let's pause on one. Composure.
Yes. In a job market defined by constant upheaval and anxiety, the ability to manage stress, to stay emotionally stable and calm, that's priceless. And that skill is rooted in LI, not IQ.
And that composure is going to be tested. The World Bank research is clear. Jobs with routine cognitive or physical tasks are diminishing.
The market polarization is so clear. Jobs that are complementary to robots, like maintenance engineers, they're seeing a benefit.
But the workers whose tasks can be done directly by AI or a robot?
They often face replacement or at least wage reduction.
So where's the growth? The World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report for 2025 gives us this surprisingly diverse picture.
It's not all tech.
No. Of course, you have big data and AI specialists, but look at the huge demand in the care economy. Nurses, social workers, teachers.
All roles that require that high LI, that compassion and composure. But also look at the green economy, renewable energy engineers, and frontline jobs like farm workers, delivery drivers, construction workers.
Things that require physical presence.
And unpredictable situational awareness. It's not just about the task, it's about being there.
This leads directly to an essential mindset change, adopting the builder mentality.
Yes. Because of how fast technology is moving, entrepreneurship is actually becoming one of the safest and most valuable skills you can have.
You mean building your own thing?
Building your own thing and building what are called anti-fragile income streams. You need multiple revenue channels because the lifespan of any single job is just shrinking so fast.
Okay, give us a concrete example of that. What does that look like?
Okay, say you've mastered using AI to optimize marketing funnels. Use that for high-paying consulting work. That's revenue stream 1.
Right.
Simultaneously, you package the tools and processes you developed into a small, subscription-based software product. That's revenue stream 2.
So even if the consulting market dips, the product revenue can sustain you.
You're using the same knowledge base to build multiple financial defenses.
That makes perfect sense. And it relates to the changing nature of credentials, right? The future belongs to the self-credentialed.
Absolutely. Your value is demonstrated by your portfolio, not just a diploma. A public GitHub repository, a thriving consulting practice, a popular YouTube channel where you teach a skill.
And we're also seeing a huge return to demand for trade schools.
Because electricians, plumbers, carpenters, those jobs require physical, non-routine application that AI just can't touch. And they have immediate high-salary demand.
And the education delivery itself is transforming. The data is clear. AI tutors are providing personalized one-on-one instruction at almost no cost.
And students are learning specialized skills 5 to 10 times faster than in a traditional university lecture.
So wrapping up this deep dive, the path forward really requires emphasizing these durable human qualities. Compassion, ethical reasoning, critical thinking over just marks and grades.
The human connection is still so vital. I mean, despite AI being able to generate incredible art, kids, when given the choice, still overwhelmingly prefer physical art materials.
That fundamental human desire to create, to connect, to comprehend through touch and effort, it's not going away.
And this leads us to our final provocative thought. It's rooted in this idea of rewilding education.
Rewilding education, what is that?
It's a critique of the current system's obsession with rigid standardization. The idea is drawn from ecological restoration. You break down old, rigid structures to let natural processes flourish again.
So instead of a standardized classroom, what does rewilded learning look like?
It suggests learning should extend way beyond the classroom, out into communities through these hands-on, multidisciplinary projects.
So like planting trees with an environmental group or making art connected to nature restoration?
Exactly. It fosters harmony, self-awareness, care for the environment, and care for each other. It's about breaking down the barriers between learning and living.
And just letting curiosity lead.
Yes.
So if the ultimate goal of learning is not just certification, but this rewilded creation and curiosity, what structure or system in your own life, a career path, a fixed habit, a long-standing belief, what needs to be broken down to truly foster that spontaneous, deep learning we need to keep pace with AI?
That's the question we want to leave you with.
That's a powerful note to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into learning in the age of AI. We'll catch you next time.